Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here today. It's an honor to stand before you and speak about something that's raw, real, and incredibly close to the core of who we are. Born alone, die alone. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? Almost cold, but let's take a moment to feel the truth in it. When we come into this world, we don't arrive with titles, relationships, likes on a screen, or followers. We come in naked, crying, and completely unknown. And when we leave, yes, even if we've lived surrounded by a million people, we don't take any of it with us. No money, no fame, not even our favorite pair of shoes. What we do leave behind is our legacy. And that, my friends, is what I want to talk about today. Legacy is not about being perfect. It's not just about the awards you win or the headlines you make. It's about impact. It's about the lives you've touched. The dreams you dared to chase, the boundaries you broke, the courage you had to speak when your voice trembled. I've walked on red carpets and on gravel roads. I've been celebrated and I've been criticized. I've felt the warmth of the spotlight and the sting of being underestimated. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Your journey is your own. Own it fearlessly. People will tell you who you are. They'll try to fit you into boxes, break you into pieces, label you, but it is your job to remind the world who you really are. You want to be an artist, do it. A CEO, do it. You want to start over at 40 or 60, do it. You want to fall in love or stay single or take the road no one's dared to walk, do it. Because in the end, it's you who lives with your choices. We often spend so much time trying to fit into the world that we forget we were born to stand out. So why play small when you're meant to live big? Look around you. Legacies are being built every single day, not by people who were born special, but by those who refuse to settle. So build yours. Build it in the way you show up when no one's watching. Build it in the way you stand up for what's right. Build it by lifting others as you rise. Build it through your work, your words, your worth. And remember, legacy isn't what you leave for people, it's what you leave in people. Yes, we're born alone, and yes, we'll die alone, but if we've lived with courage, kindness, and authenticity, we will never truly be forgotten. So go out there, be unapologetically you, take up space. Speak your truth, build your legacy, because you don't owe the world perfection. You owe it your passion. We often fear the idea that we are born alone and die alone. It sounds isolating, maybe even a little cold. But when you really think about it, there's something powerfully grounding about that truth. We come into this world on our own, without fame, followers, titles, or expectations. We arrive raw, real, and untouched by the noise of the world. In the same way, when we leave, we do so alone, stripped of everything we've gathered along the way. Possessions, accolades, and even the relationships we've held so dearly. But between these two moments, birth and death, is life. And life is where the magic happens. It's where we get to write our story. The reality that we enter and exit alone doesn't have to be depressing. In fact, it's empowering, because it reminds us that what truly matters is not how we come in or how we go out. It's what we do while we're here. We may not take anything with us when we leave, but what we leave behind that's everything. That's our legacy. It's the conversations we had that shifted someone's perspective. It's the courage we displayed when we stood up for something we believed in. It's the dreams we chased even when no one else believed in them. It's the love we gave, the risks we took, and the example we set. People remember how you made them feel. They remember how you showed up. And that emotional, spiritual footprint you leave behind, that's the essence of legacy. That's the part of you that continues to live long after you're gone. So instead of fearing the idea of solitude at the beginning and end of our journey, we should see it as a wake-up call, a reminder that the time we have between those 2 points is entirely ours to shape. The legacy you build isn't about having millions know your name. It's about the depth of your presence in even one life, because in the end, no one escapes that final walk alone. But if you've lived with intention, love, and boldness, you'll never truly disappear. You'll live on through the echoes you left in people's hearts. That's immortality, that's power, that's legacy. Legacy is often misunderstood. Many people associate it with perfection. Flawless achievements, polished images, long lists of awards, or public recognition. But legacy has never been about being perfect. It's about being impactful. It's about showing up authentically, making a difference, and leaving something behind that outlives you, not in gold statues or viral moments, but in the hearts and minds of others. Perfection is an illusion. No one gets through life without making mistakes, doubting themselves, or falling short. But those moments of imperfection, those raw, vulnerable parts of our journey, are often the ones that connect us most deeply to others. Because people don't remember us for being flawless. They remember us for being real, for being honest, for rising after we've fallen, and for never giving up when things got hard. You don't need to be the smartest in the room or the most successful by the world's standards to build a legacy. What matters is your consistency, your integrity, and your intention. Did you treat people with kindness? Did you use your voice when it mattered? Did you create space for others to rise with you? These are the things that last. These are the moments that shape your legacy. Some of the most powerful legacies have been built quietly. A teacher who believed in a child when no one else did. A mother who held her family together through storms. A friend who listened when the world was too loud. These are not perfect people. These are people who lived with heart, with depth, and with purpose, and that is far more meaningful than any magazine cover or standing ovation. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to look perfect, act perfect, be perfect. But the real power lies in embracing who we are, flaws and all, and choosing to make every moment count. Your legacy is formed in the everyday choices you make, in how you carry yourself, and in how you make others feel. So let go of the pressure to impress. Let go of the chase for perfection. Focus on impact. Focus on truth, because that's where your real power lies, and that's how you'll be remembered. Not as someone who was perfect, but as someone who was unforgettable. Every journey in life is deeply personal. No two paths are exactly alike, and that's the beauty of it. Your experiences, your struggles, your triumphs, they are uniquely yours, and yet too often we allow others to dictate how we should live, who we should be, and what success should look like. We get caught up in expectations, family, society, culture, and we forget that our lives don't need to be approved by anyone else. The moment you realize that your journey belongs to you is the moment you step into your power. Owning your journey means accepting all of it, the good, the bad, and everything in between. It means celebrating your wins without apology and standing tall in your failures without shame. It means being okay with not having everything figured out and still choosing to move forward. When you stop living for the validation of others and start trusting your own voice, that's when real growth begins. That's when you start living authentically. There will always be people who doubt you, who question your choices, who try to put you into boxes that make them more comfortable. But you weren't born to fit in, you were born to stand out. Your uniqueness is your strength, and your story matters. Every scar, every setback, every time you picked yourself back up, they're all a part of what makes your journey powerful. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. Your life is not a performance, it's a purpose. It takes courage to walk a path that others don't understand. It takes bravery to say, "This is who I am," and mean it. But that kind of ownership is what builds a meaningful legacy. When you live true to yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror for those still searching for the courage to embrace their own truth. So don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. Don't compromise your vision for the sake of comfort or approval. Stand tall in your story. Walk your path, even if you have to walk it alone for a while. Because when you own your journey, you don't just live, you lead, and in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. Dreams don't come with a deadline, and they certainly don't come with permission slips. You don't need anyone's approval to dream big or to go after the life you want. Too often, we wait. We wait to feel ready, wait for someone to validate our path, wait for the right moment that never seems to come. But the truth is, no one is going to hand you the green light. You have to create it yourself. You have to be willing to step out even when the timing feels uncertain, and the voices around you are telling you to play it safe. No dream is too big or too bold if it lives in your heart. Whether you're 20, 40, or 65, your age, background, or circumstances do not define your capacity to chase something meaningful. The world has a tendency to measure our worth by timelines. what you should have achieved by a certain age when you should settle down, or what's considered practical, but dreams aren't practical, they're deeply personal, and more often than not they're a little bit wild, and that's what makes them beautiful. The people who make the biggest impact are rarely the ones who followed the rules. They're the ones who dared to rewrite them. They were told no, they faced setbacks, they were doubted, but they kept going, and that's what separates dreamers from doers, the courage to keep moving even when the road ahead isn't clear. If you're waiting for permission, this is it. Give it to yourself. Give yourself the grace to be a beginner, the space to fail, and the strength to rise. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to take the first step. When you move with conviction, even in uncertainty, the path starts to reveal itself. The most powerful thing you can do is believe that your dreams are valid even when no one else does. Your vision doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you, so dream without limits. Pursue what sets your soul on fire. And don't ever let the fear of judgment silence your ambition. You were not born to live small. You were born to shake the ground with the sound of your purpose. Legacy isn't built in a single grand moment. It's built in the small, often invisible actions we take every day. It's in the way we carry ourselves when no one is watching, in how we treat people when we have nothing to gain, and in the choices we make when they're hardest to make. It's easy to think of legacy as something tied to titles or accomplishments, but the truth is, it lives in our values and how consistently we live by them. Every interaction is an opportunity to leave a mark. How you show up for others, how you navigate challenges, how you lead with empathy or stand your ground with integrity. Those are the building blocks of your legacy. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real and about showing up with intention. People won't remember every word you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. That feeling, that energy, becomes part of the story you leave behind. Choosing to live with strong values in a world that often celebrates shortcuts and superficial wins is a form of quiet rebellion. It's saying, I won't compromise who I am to get ahead. That takes strength, it takes self-awareness and a willingness to rise above the noise. But those who live with purpose don't just pass through life. They shape it. They shift cultures, inspire movements, and create spaces for others to be brave too. When you act with honesty, kindness, resilience, and courage, you're not just living, you're building. You're constructing a legacy that speaks for itself long after you've left the room. And what's powerful is that this kind of legacy doesn't require money, fame, or a platform. It just requires you to live every day like it matters, because it does. You may never know the full extent of your impact. You may not see all the ways you've inspired others, but trust that your actions ripple outward. A single act of compassion can change someone's direction. A moment of courage can start a wave. So choose to lead a life of substance, not just success. Build your legacy through how you love, how you fight for what's right, and how when people talk about legacy, they often think in terms of what they can leave asterisk for asterisk others. Wealth, buildings, creations, accolades. But the truth is, the most powerful and lasting legacy is what you leave asterisk in asterisk people. It's not just the tangible things you leave behind, but the emotional imprint, the lessons, the inspiration, and the strength you spark in others. That's the kind of legacy that lives on in conversations, in decisions, in quiet moments of courage that someone takes because of how you made them feel. You don't have to be world famous to create that kind of impact. You just have to be present, intentional, and real. Maybe it's the way you listened when someone needed to be heard. Maybe it's how you encouraged someone to believe in themselves when they were doubting their worth. Or maybe it's simply your energy, how you made someone feel seen, safe, or strong when the world around them felt cold. Those moments might seem small to you, but they can become life-changing for someone else. Legacy, in its most human form, is about connection. It's about transferring strength, wisdom, and love through your actions, and that kind of legacy doesn't fade, it gets passed on. The child who watched you fight for your dreams learns to fight for their own. The friend who saw you speak up begins to find their own voice. The colleague who noticed your grace under pressure learns that they too can rise with resilience. This is how you become part of people's stories, not as a hero but as a spark. And that's the most beautiful thing about living with purpose. You may never fully realize how deeply you've affected someone. You might not be there when they gather the courage to step into their light, but it was your presence, your words, or your example that helped light the path. In the end, what matters isn't the legacy carved in stone, but the one etched into hearts. The one that ripples through generations, long after your name is forgotten. But your spirit lives on in the choices and dreams of others. That is the kind of immortality no monument can match. That is a legacy worth building.